school board meeting to order. Just real quickly, our mission statement here at Center Grove: we develop knowledgeable, confident, and responsible citizens through inspirational and innovative learning opportunities. Do we have someone for the pledge?
Yeah, we do. Who's for the pledge? Yeah.
And tonight, I believe we're going to have Aubrey Waltz from Awesome. And then Harshal Suresh Kumar. That's fabulous. If you would,
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, it's
Well, good evening. I'm the proud principal of Center Grove Elementary School, Krista Nelson, and I have two shining stars tonight. We have Bree Waltz and Harshal Suresh Kumar. Both of them are very good leaders in our school, but lead in different ways. Bree has been nominated multiple times by her peers for the core values and the character that she brings to her classroom. She's a true leader, definitely has perseverance, but just an overall wonderful kid who goes above and beyond. And we are so excited to have her back at CGES this year. So Bree, thank you so much for all you do. We know that Bree cannot be as successful as she is without it starting at home. So thank you to everyone. Her parents are here, and Emmy is here. We've got Grandma and Grandpa, and we've got, Mimi and, is it Poppy? Papa. We got Mimi and Papa, and we have her aunt here, so thank you guys so much. And then also her wonderful teacher, Mrs. Campbell, is here tonight. And Mrs. Campbell was the one that nominated her for this award, too. So thank you, Mrs. Campbell, for all you do to brighten Bree's life, in the classroom and just pushing her to exceed some very high expectations. And then our second shining star tonight is Harshal Suresh Kumar, and he is joined by his family over here. Harshal came to us as a new student in the fall, and we knew we had some gaps that we needed to fill academically. I can tell you, our community, our school, our district is in good hands with Harshal. I have never seen a child work so hard in my life. Spending time learning his English language, his words, his reading, and the programs that we put him in, our team just kind of went to work knowing that he had that work ethic. And so we gave him these programs that usually take a year or two to test out of. He did them in 3 months, and he is now up with his peers. And so we are so proud of Harshal for his hard work and his dedication. And again, that starts at home, so thank you, parents. And then he's also joined by his teacher, Mrs. Schaefer. And Mrs. Schaefer has done wonderful. She came to us that second week of school and said, I know this is what we need to do. We put a team around Harshal, and now he is our bright star in 3rd grade. So congratulations, Harshal.
that's a great way to start a meeting. Plus, I'm a Center Grove Elementary alum, so I always like it when they see that. Just a couple years ago.
I am too, but it was a different building.
Now let's move on. Everyone's been presented with the agenda. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. President, I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I've got a first from Mr. Alexander and a second from Ms. Toomey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is adopted. We have another special recognition this evening. Mr. Jack Russell will be making the presentation.
Good evening. Bear with me, I'm on the end of a cold. So tonight, we would like to tell you what the Shining Star Award is about. The Shining Star Award recognizes an employee, student, or community member who has gone beyond the expected to make the Center Grove community a better place. To be eligible for a Shining Star Award, the nominee must exhibit actions that go beyond his or her normal job duties or daily responsibilities. The nominee must demonstrate that he or she went above and beyond in one of 4 areas. He or she must have made a difference in the life of someone else, fostered a more productive workplace or school community, encouraged teamwork and collaboration within the Center Grove Community School Corporation or community, and initiated a positive change. And I think you will see when we talk about the project how Richie hit all 4 of these. So tonight I would like to nominate Richie Arkanoff for the Shining Star Award. Richie is a senior at Center Grove High School. He is also a member of the Center Grove Boy Scout Troop 245. For his Eagle Scout project, Richie designed and constructed a memorial for the students and staff members who lost their lives while enrolled or working in the Center Grove Community School Corporation. He wanted to bring together in a centralized location all of the memorials that have been placed around the district. He designed the memorial to be self-sustaining with low upkeep cost, while being meaningful for the families and friends of the individuals. He obtained materials for the memorial through donations of design, materials, and funds. He exceeded his goal of $3,000 by $170. The memorial was constructed by Richie and many volunteers on the grounds of the Education Service Center. So tonight we would like to recognize this worthy project of our school corporation by honoring Richie with the Shining Star Award. And I will tell you, if you haven't seen it, it's wonderful. It is a tree. Think about it. Center Grove was found in the center of the township in a grove of trees. So it was a very befitting design to come up with it. It also brought together, with all our construction, we were losing some of our memorials to people. So this is a great way in centralizing all those who have passed or worked here. So if you'll come forward, Richie. So we'd like to present you with this Richie Arkanoff II. We want to make sure it's not that other one.
Just got thrown under the bus.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think we need one more picture.
Yeah, bring it one.
We need one more picture.
See, I knew that other one was going to get in it.
Where's he going to college, Jack?
And maybe I'll get him in the band. I don't know.
Congratulations, Richie. Next on the agenda is a presentation by the Red Alert Robotics team.
First we have some little goodies that we have just to show our appreciation for you. Yeah. So in there we have some. I think is there coffee in there? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we've got a partnership with Strange Brew, so we have our own coffee flavor at Strange Brew. We have
Fabulous.
some popcorn with a sponsorship from another popcorn
Thank you.
place. So we just have a few of these for you first.
Thank you. Thank you, Chase.
yeah, I'm Chase Reed. I'm a senior at Center Grove. I'm the team executive captain this year for Roller Robotics. I'm Jake Gallion. I'm the business lead for this year as well for Roller Robotics.
Awesome, great.
So yeah, we wanted to come and just show you our appreciation for your support that you have for our impact on the school district. We make a pretty big impact throughout it. We've got teams all throughout our pipeline under in the elementary schools, through the middle schools, through the high school now. So we just want to kind of come and show you how we want to be able to do it without you or any of your help. So thank you.
Thank you, Chase.
And each of those bags, you'll find an invitation to our open house, which is the 27th. If that doesn't work for any of you guys, you can try and reach out to us, and we can try and schedule a date that will work with you.
Great.
What's the 1741?
So the 1741, the organization we're in is called FIRST, for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It's a big organization, so it's called an FRC team is what we're a part of. We were the 1,741st team to register, so that's kind of their defining thing when we go to competitions. Every team has a number, and that's just the easy thing they go by.
Lower than number four.
Yeah. So we're an older team. Their teams this year, I don't know if it hit 8,000, but last year they hit 7,000. So it's a worldwide organization that we're a part of. And like I could talk about it for hours right now. And that's why we invited you to our open house, because we can show everything that we do in the shop and more. And I could talk your ears off for hours. So yeah, no idea. Please come in.
So Chase, one more question. Did you choose to become a Boilermaker, or are you going down south?
Oh, I'm going to IU.
Can we hold up his diploma? I will tell you one thing. I have a great nephew graduating this year from a large school in Texas. They studied 1741 before they started their robotics. And he now is, I'm proud to say, got about 12 schools. He's off the charts. He didn't get it from his great uncle, but anyway, because of robotics, I mean, that really guided where he wanted to go and stuff. So I'm trying to get him up here, but I don't know.
So yeah, once again, thank you for your support and for our recognition tonight.
Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work.
Sure.
You want us sitting?
Why don't you guys come and stand behind us?
Yeah, just stand. That works.
There you go.
We're gonna engineer robots.
Little rabbit ears or something.
Get a little closer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We have one more recognition tonight, but I'm going to do an addendum to our Eagle Scout. I was reminded that not only was it a wonderful project for the school, something that we'll see and people will see for years to come, but he also won Eagle Project of the Year for the state of Indiana. So congratulations, Richie. That's fabulous. I understand he may have missed a ski trip to go and to the award ceremony, but it was worth it, I'm sure. We have one more presentation tonight, and then we'll get to our business part of the meeting. This is for the outgoing president. She is a lady who has been the heart of Center Grove for many years. She served as a faculty member for many years, and then she became the assistant athletic director for years, has served on the board for several terms, and Carol Toomey has done numerous things for this school, numerous things for many of the children that have come up through this school. I don't think I ever had her in class, but I always knew who she was and always knew that she loved Center Grove. So we want to give her an award tonight, just a recognition of her outstanding dedication and leadership during her time last year, 2019, as school board president. Carol.
surprise.
That was the fun part. Now we're on to the business part. First part of the business meeting is a call for public comments, and I see that we have Mr. Conrad Wong who has signed up for public comment. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. The floor will be yours, and it looks like you're speaking on the high reliability, high ability program survey, correct?
That's right. I don't know that's going to take 3 minutes, but earlier this morning I took the opportunity to review this evening's meeting agenda, and I noticed 2 items, action items that are going to be voted upon this evening entitled, the first one being approve high reliability school survey, and the other approve high ability programming survey. I'm not entirely sure what's going to be discussed in these 2 action items, but given that Dr. Hoover is going to be presenting on these 2 topics, and based on the title, I suspect it has something to do with the curriculum that's going to be taught to our children. So I just wanted to express that I hope these surveys seek to understand how Center Grove schools can better address the important need to improve the science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum for the school district. In my humble opinion, and as a parent of 2 children, one who has passed through the school corporation and one that's a junior and has 1 more year left, I believe there still remains significant gaps in the current curriculum in teaching all of our children at all grade levels on the important topics in science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm a firm believer that the careers in STEM will continue to be the highest demand in the unforeseen future. And while I'm extremely grateful for the number of opportunities I've had to have conversation with Dr. Akernoff on this topic, I remain concerned that students coming out of Center Grove School Corporation are still not being exposed enough to the science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum that they really need. I'm looking forward to hearing Dr. Hoover's presentation this evening, and I hope that the proposed survey collection will collect information to help inform how the STEM curriculum at Center Grove can become more robust and substantive to help kids meet their future academic and career opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Conrad. Everyone's been provided with a copy of the consent agenda with the minutes, personnel report, claims, field trip report, proposed summer camps and programs, and end-of-year transfers. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Eschel, Mr. Alexander. I'll call for a vote to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Please note the consent agenda passes. Next, we move on to action items.
Thank you.
The first action item on the list is a presentation by Dr. Bill Long dealing with a resolution to purchase property. Dr. Long, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. By law, the school board has to adopt a resolution indicating our interest in purchasing a specified land or structure. The district also has to appoint 2 appraisers to appraise the fair market value of the land or structure, and the appraisers must be professionally engaged in making appraisals or be trained as an appraiser and licensed as an appraiser under Indiana code. The appraiser has to return their separate appraisals to us, and we'll keep those on file for 5 years. We are asking the board to approve a resolution tonight indicating our interest in purchasing the property at 4321 North County Road 400 West. That's in the south west corner of the current Maple Grove Maintenance and Transportation property. That big square down there, it fills in the rest of that. The resolution also permits the corporation to appoint 2 appraisers, and it allows us to enter into a purchase agreement for an amount not to exceed the average of the two appraisals, and it authorizes us to also sign those documents necessary to complete the sale. That's
Thank
it.
you, Dr. Long. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Long before I take a motion?
Dr. Long, can you remind me, I know we've talked about it, how many acres? Is it like,
Of that property?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can tell you in just a second. If you can stall, or do you want me to tap dance
I
or
can-
anything while I'm,
and the driver here is to kind of complete the purchase of the property down on the Maple Grove grounds and the transportation grounds, correct?
yes. And it is 15.14 acres.
Thank you, sorry.
That's all right, I should have had it ready for you.
And I guess when you say complete the grounds, when you're talking what are the two roads intersecting Maple Grove down there? We've got.
Well, it's at the corner of Saddle Club across, directly north of Morningside, the new subdivision there. And so it's, right, it's right at the southernmost part of our property down there. And we feel like we need that for future as we grow and we need more transportation, more buses, more parking. It allows us to bring buses and our maintenance vehicles in and out of that property without mixing them with buses or parent traffic. It keeps that all separate.
And we own the neighboring property, correct?
Yeah,
So
yes, we
we're-
do. Just north of that, we own.
We're growing our parcel in essence.
Yes, yes. And just so you know, I've been meeting with Bargersville planner, and, you know, we're working on making arrangements to improve. They're going to work on improving Saddle Club Road. We're making some improvements on Wyland Road. So this allows them to get that right-of-way also from us. They'll be requesting that pretty soon from us to give them a right-of-way to finish improving the rest of Saddle Club Road.
Great. Do we have any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the resolution to purchase property as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander and Ms. Toomey. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next, we have a high reliability school survey, which will be presented by Mrs. Nora Hoover. I'll turn the floor over to Mrs. Nora Hoover.
Thank you. Over the last 7 years, most of our building principals have participated in the Indiana Principal Leadership Institute, IPLI, and through that, they were provided the opportunity to participate in the high reliability schools surveys based on Dr. Robert Marzano's continuous school improvement model. Through this process, our principals in the teaching and learning department believe that the adoption of the HRS model of Dr. Marzano's will support our continual school improvement at Center Grove and bring consistency across our district schools. Stakeholder survey data is a very important role, or plays an important role in the process of HRS. We're requesting approval to administer to students the survey for HRS Level 1, which focuses on safe, collaborative, and supportive school culture. The survey would be administered this semester. For board reference, our parents and teachers will also take the Level 1 survey during this semester, and we collect and triangulate all three pieces of data from those groups. At a later time, our teachers will be asked to take surveys for Level 2, which is about effective teaching in every classroom, and Level 3, which focuses on guaranteed and viable curriculum. We'd appreciate board approval for these surveys mentioned because it helps our principals to better serve our school community and to provide an exceptional educational experience for all students. As this is something that we would consider ongoing as part of our school improvement process, I would make this annual request for these surveys. And of course, for teachers, we've already discussed that, but we would need to bring it for students.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoover. Do we have any questions or comments?
If I recall correctly, we've done something like this in the past. We just don't do it every year, or we do it every other year.
We The principals who've gone through IPLI, and that was something I had done when I was a principal, have given this survey. So when it's come to you each year, it's just been very specific for the principals participating in the programs that year.
Okay.
And so they've all learned a lot through that process, but now we want to do that together as a school and look at our data more unilaterally and not just by one building.
And I'm assuming you've taken this through the proper discussions with UTAG and
Yes.
Now, are you asking for approval tonight for us to allow you to do the survey now, or are you looking for approval to do it now and into the future?
We would ask for that now to give to students this semester, likely shortly after spring break. Then we would have an annual request, which typically those can go on the consent agenda unless we change something.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions with respect to the survey? Can I have a motion to approve the high reliability school survey?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the high reliability school survey for students as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Once again, we have Mrs. Hoover with the second presentation. Now we ask her to give us a presentation on the high ability programming survey.
Thank you. This semester, the Teaching and Learning Department is reviewing our secondary program for high ability students, and we're conducting an in-house secondary high ability programming evaluation. Our process is similar in nature to a review that we had done in 2014-15 for our elementary programming, which was conducted by 2 external high ability consultants. The purposes of this evaluation is to assess our gifted education programs and look for areas of strength, various challenges, and potential recommendations for improvement. Part of the process includes surveys. 2 surveys have been written and designed to gain insights about secondary ability programs that will guide program improvements. The teacher survey was discussed at the district level and will be given to all secondary teachers. Pending board approval, we would give all students enrolled in either honors, advanced placement, or dual credit courses the opportunity to take the student survey.
Do I have any?
Middle school and high school, both.
I think the question was, is it just high school? So go ahead.
All secondary, so 6 through 12.
Do I have any other questions or comments as it relates to this survey?
When would we anticipate, like, seeing the results and any recommendations as a result of the survey?
We have a broad-based planning committee, which is actually part of the high ability legislation in Indiana that we have that committee, and we run a lot of ideas and data through them because it's a parent, teacher, administrator group, so it's a nice cross-section. They often give guidance, ask great questions, so we'll share that data with them along with our building level administrators and teaching and learning department. And I would guess that by the end of the year, we'll have some, what do we need to do pretty quick? And then plan out probably 1 to 3 years of improvements that we can bring back.
Okay. Are they going to write answers to these questions, or to give a scale?
There's a scale.
I would find it a little. Yeah, I know.
There's a scale. Those are just the actual questions themselves. I didn't provide the survey format. Some of them are yes.
Put a scale to them, and I'd want to write answers.
We actually, the program consultants that came back in 14, 15 to do this same process for our elementary schools, we're using their surveys. They are experts in this field, not only in Indiana, but across the country. So a lot of these questions are based on things that they have done over time in lots of districts, including our own. We adapted them a little bit to make them secondary. And so some of them are a scale, like a Likert scale. There's some that are more yes or no, and there's a couple of questions towards the end where kids can share qualitative answers and write things. So it's a combination, actually.
Is this survey taken by teachers as well, or only students?
There is a survey that aligns with very similar aspects that we want to learn from teachers that we will give to teachers.
So you would use both of those.
Mhm.
And it's fair to say that this is, if they're in more than one honors or AP class, they would take one for each class?
No, any student that's Amanda Trimble, who's our special programs coordinator, has worked with our 3 secondary principals when to give this. And so we can give this directly to students who are currently enrolled in any of those types of classes, honors, advanced placement, or dual credit at the high school. And then they can have the link, they'll have the link to that survey.
I may
They'll
have
take
asked a poor question. I guess
Okay.
if they're taking 3 classes, do they fill one out for each class?
Oh, no, they would just do the survey once.
Have we ever thought about doing it for each class so we could evaluate each class individually?
That's a great question. So what we've done is we asked them, and this is where some of the options come in on the survey. They can tell us what content they've taken these courses in. So I take AP, they'll get an option. They can say they've taken AP dual credit honors or all any of 1, 2, or 3 of those. And then they can tell us science, social studies, math, language arts, Project Lead the Way. So they can add in those specific areas where they've taken those courses.
Okay, I'm confused, and I apologize. So this isn't the actual survey, this is a
These
summary
are
of the survey?
Yes, yes.
So will they have a separate section? Because a lot of the kids that are taking one honors or AP course are taking multiple.
Mm-hmm.
So will they have a separate section for each? Okay,
Similar, yes. They would be able to identify all the different,
okay.
not the specific classes, because this survey would be pages and pages long, but the content areas in which, the subject areas they're taking, those advanced classes. They would tell us that, yes.
And then, did we prepare this, or is this a national, state? It sounds like it's something we've adopted from a national or state.
From our high ability consultants that we
Okay.
use them, again, in 14, 15. We also consult with them. They've come here and given presentations to our high ability teachers, both in elementary and secondary, on classroom strategies and how to engage high ability students, challenge those students. So we've consulted with them for multiple projects, and so we're using their questions.
And I understand it'd be a long survey if we asked about each, but I guess to the extent to identify an issue, there may be an issue with one type of AP class and maybe not another. So to the extent that we could, I know this is an example of just some of the questions, that we could do that, I would think, I would encourage that so that we could have a little more pointed data.
And that's where I would say the open-ended question comes at the end, where students can share those types of things with us, like, this program was great, this it didn't have as much value, and they can share specific data like that if they'll have a place to do that on the survey.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments?
I think, I guess my only other question, this is fantastic for our current students. Do we have a mechanism in place, or we talked about a mechanism to survey like the freshmen and sophomores in college, or who have moved on to trade schools, or like some kind of follow-up about, hey, this was a curriculum in, did it prepare you for your STEM classes and your secondary education, or have we thought about doing anything like that to go and make sure that we're getting out of this what we expect to out of some of these classes?
We have not done that. I would be happy to let Dr. Henderson do that.
I already asked him.
You need to survey your recent graduates, so.
We don't do a
It's hard.
curricular survey of our recent graduates. We do a what you're doing now survey that gives us some information about the path that they followed post-high school, but we currently aren't engaging them in an analysis of their high school curriculum after they've left the building.
I would assume we'd probably have difficulty with some of them responding once they've left.
Yes.
Do they do any kind of exit survey, interview, or anything? It's when they're juniors, seniors, on their experience before they leave?
Not necessarily on a curricular basis unless the individual teacher does an end-of-the-year course survey, which some do.
Okay. And I know that's not what is in front of the board right now, but Scott opened the door, so.
Well, one of the things I can say, the state of Indiana recognizes for high school level that advanced placement and international baccalaureate are high ability gifted programs. I would say that our data on how our students do on those tests are very clear data at how we have prepared the students who take AP courses. It's national data. We can say our average and drill down to individual students. Very different than dual credit, which are by individual universities. Very high quality too, but different. And I don't know if any of you have taken AP courses. They're incredibly rigorous. I always told kids it was probably easier to take the class in college than it was to do well on that test. But we have brilliant kids who are doing wonderfully, and teachers who are getting great results with those kids to do well. So I would say that's a big indicator of how we're doing with our most gifted students, because most of our gifted identified students are going at that track to that highest rigor.
And part of the reason for my question is, having a student who graduated in 18, I've heard anecdotally from other parents whose kids went through the early college program or take the AP classes, and I've even talked to some of the kids about how better prepared they were for post-high school things than related to their peers, like some of the things they're doing in their first semesters and some of the classes at the college level, like while the rest of their peers are catching up, they're already here, and it's more anecdotal than we have, some hard evidence about, to make sure, kind of back to Conrad's point, are we focusing in the right areas? Are we putting the emphasis in the right place? Are we doing enough? It's just some of that's anecdotal that I've heard from several parents and students. So
Research data will actually tell you the only real indicator of college success. It's not grades, it's not GPA, it's not SAT or ACT scores. It's the rigor of college courses you took in high school, not even how well you did, but the types of courses you chose to be in. And so choosing those AP classes, choosing some of those high-level dual credit classes are going to get you more prepared. So we need to get the right students in those classes, and as many as we can.
I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, I think you learn through struggle. And if you
Yes.
don't struggle, you're not going to learn. So I think that's fabulous to hear.
I realize this is for a certain sect of the kids. Are we doing anything for the kids that have decided, that they are a C9 student, they're going to be a welder and so forth? How do we know that they feel successful? Trade school kids, how are we measuring that they feel they're successful because of what they got here at Center Grove?
I would say a lot of, it's talking about very different objectives
Yeah,
for that, right?
it is.
But if we look at just something like that, I think the number of kids we get through C9 that get those advanced certifications that are available to them in those programs, I think that says a lot about if kids are ready, because if they pass the welding certifications available to
Right,
them,
it's rigorous.
they're ready for a job. They're being sought after because there aren't enough
Yeah,
of
we usually don't have
those.
enough
And
to
so
fill the positions.
I would say the high school keeps data on the number of kids that we get. Our new graduation pathways too, and that career and college readiness piece will give us, I would say, even better data than we currently have. I don't know if Dr. Henderson, I'm assuming you'd agree with how we're gonna have great pathway data as the state has structured diploma acquisition differently.
And Central 9 Career Academy, Career Center, they do programmatic evaluation with their students as a part of their accreditation and growth process, school improvement process there. So they have their own means by which they're evaluating the success of Central 9 programs.
Nora's thinking all I did was one approval for a survey.
I love great questions, and these have been great questions.
May I have a motion, Mr. Alexander?
I move that we approve, let me get the actual motion. I move that we approve the high ability programming survey as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Now I'll turn the microphone back over to Mrs. Hoover to discuss a first reading of a proposed policy revision.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. I'm actually going to pass the baton to Shannon Carroll Fry.
Great.
She is our corporation test coordinator and our resident expert of all things testing. And she's going
It's
to present to you
riveting.
tonight.
It's just riveting. The state of Indiana requires that we have a local test security policy. We have had one. There have been revisions that have been provided to us by Neola, which is where we get a lot of our policy, and the state of Indiana Department of Education also this fall provided some additional guidance to us on what they expect to see in our local test security policy. And so we have gone ahead and made those revisions. It looks just a hot mess if you look at all those things on there, but I promise, I double-checked it, and it will clean up nicely when the amazing Mrs. Parker makes it not have all those extra greens and red line strike-throughs. Basically, our practices are not changing. We're just capturing it in our policy.
That was riveting.
I know.
Any questions or comments?
Just catching it up to the state.
And these are changes required by the state, correct?
They are.
Seeing no further questions or comments, do I have a motion? I'm sorry, it's a first reading. And that's
You'll
why,
get to see me again next month.
and we'll look forward to that.
It will be riveting.
Thank you. And thank you, Mrs. Parker, for reminding me. That completes our actions items. Now I'll ask each board member, is there any other business or any announcements that you'd like to make?
Just real quick, the Alumni and Friends honored the team of 56. The big thing that year was that they won the county. That was all there was back then. Now you're talking about guys that are 80 years older. The tour just blew them away. Of course, you got to remember they were here during the fires. How'd it work out? The seniors that year only got to play half a year in what's called the West Gym now. And then juniors got to play the next season through that. So they went through a lot of turmoil during that time, but of course, getting them together was like watching a bunch of teenage guys again on that. So it was a good thing. Purse bingo for Center Grove Education Foundation is next Thursday. Is it sold out, Jennifer? It is sold. Great fundraiser. Don't go near the Barn to Bay Horse. There's no parking. April 25th is the two things going on there. Rock the Block, which is separate from the foundation, but it's a great event. And the gala is that night at JW Marriott, so be getting your tickets.
Is it the JW or just the Marriott?
Just the Marriott. Oh, sorry. Scratch.
Big difference.
Yeah, well, it's within a block or two.
If anybody shows up at the JW.
Just the
blackjack.
Marriott. The big blue one.
Mr. Russell, do you have any other announcements?
No.
Mr. Hubbard, do you have any announcements?
I do. I have two things. Last Saturday, the Carpenters Union hosted a Skills USA event. It was for, C9 was invited to it, and all the trade schools throughout the state was invited to it to do basically these kids had a competition on who could build something within 3 hours. They basically built like a little house and put electrical boxes, drywall, things like that. And the top 3 spots went to C9 students, and the number 1 kid was a Center Grove senior.
Fabulous.
So, just congratulations to him, and also this weekend, Friday and Saturday, Center Grove has 3 students in the state finals of the wrestling.
Great. Thank you. Mrs. Toomey, do you have any announcements?
I have none at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander?
None at this time, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Superintendent, do you have any announcements?
I just want to thank the board for the work session today. I know you've been at it since 2 o'clock, so thank you very much. I want to compliment the principals, Mrs. Nelson, for coming in today and spending time with you, Mr. Smith, and of course, Dr. Henderson, for spending time and talking about our issues with mental health. So we put a lot of work into that, so I appreciate you taking the time today to look at what we can do since we have to figure out how to do it without a referendum. So thank you, and thank you folks for your time today as well. I should also thank Ally. She has come in today as well to join us in that effort. And our newest person is Heather here today? No. Is she official now? She's official this morning, Heather Fosnot, who is now our coordinator, our director of mental health services. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arkanoff. I'll just remind everybody that our next regular board meeting is scheduled for 7 p.m. on Thursday, March 19, right here. And then we also have an executive session held before it at 6 p.m. With that being said, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?